All, I consider it as an honor for putting up today's proceedings of the Indian Leather Way Forward, a seminar that is being organized in honor of Dr. J Raghav, my mentor and role model, who had superannuated on 31st August 2021. So after serving CLRI, Central Leather Research Institute, for nearly 3 decades. So in fact, if we include his BTech days, the time he had spent at CLRI would be nearly 4 decades. So more than 50% of his lifetime he had spent working towards the progress of CLRI. So mentors, mentees, colleagues, friends, and family of Dr. J Ragurao had joined here to share their experience and journey with Dr. Raghav. So now I take this opportunity to request Director CLRI, Dr. J Sriram, to welcome the gathering.
Good evening, industry leaders, the thought leaders of the leather industry, my mentors, the scientists who had shaped the institute through the years, a lot of youngsters whom I am seeing here, my own colleagues of CLRI. I am very happy to find that the colleagues and students of Dr. Rao had thought about organizing this virtual interaction today. Essentially, this meeting today has the focus of institute industry interactions, wherein Dr. Rao, as was said, for the last 30 years, served as one of the mediums through which we interacted with the industry. As a scientist par excellence, Dr. Rao had ensured that the science that he did in the labs were translated into technologies, and also he tried his level best to take them to the industrial floors. In this process, the institute and the industry came closer together, thus serving the mandate of this organization. I am extremely thankful that several of the industrial leaders had agreed to talk about this institute industry interactions today. I also find that people like Dr. Nair, Dr. D Ramaswamy, etc., would also be talking about how they shaped the research activities of this organization, which subsequently went on to become an industrial practice as well. I would not take much of your time. I am extremely thankful for all of you to have joined in today. And I hope the aspects that are being presented today with Dr. Rao as a background would continue to shape and strengthen the institute's interaction with the industry, and thus taking the leather industry in India way forward. Thank you very much. Madan, you are muted. You're muted, Madan.
Sorry. So thank you, Dr. Sriram. Now I invite one of my mentors, Dr. Bhalichandra Nair, a retired chief scientist of CSIR-CLRI, who also had been a mentor to Dr. J Raghav, to share his experience with Dr. Raghav as a student.
Thank you, Madan. Good evening to everybody. So first of all, I realized that I have the role of an opening batsman. So just like our legendary Sunil Gavaskar, the opener, who could occupy the crease for almost one day, whole day, I can keep on talking about Dr. Rao the whole day. But don't worry, I won't do that. I will stick to the time. I have been given 15 minutes or so. Right. So why did I choose the topic of Dr. Rao as a student? Very simple, because I think all of you know about him as a scientist. All of us know that as a scientist, he was was the most productive scientist in CLRI ever had, and probably will ever have. But as a student, not many of you have seen him as a student. Of course, with the exception of Dr. TR, who was his mentor and supervisor, thesis supervisor and whatnot. And Chandru, that's Dr. Chandrasekhar for you, who was his senior by a couple of years, and Dr. Subramanyam, who was his contemporary. And besides these three, probably none of you would know him as a student. So he came to chemical lab, if I am right, in 1985 or so. Correct me, Ragurao, if I'm wrong. And he came to Dr. TR to do his MTech project. And Dr. TR, in his wisdom, thought that he should spend time with me. So the job fell on my head to almost to mentor him, I would say. But Dr. TR did give me a problem. But the problem was, I won't say it was a leather technology problem, it was a leather science problem. I still don't know why he gave the problem, but I have a feeling that he chose that problem keeping me in mind, because he knew that I don't have much contact with technology. Probably I didn't even know how to spell technology. Or maybe the other reason is he thought that he wanted to, or he had a vision to turn Dr. Rao into a good scientist, as he always believed that if you do a good science, that will always result into a technology. So whatever be the reason, he chose the problem for him. During those days, 80s, the burning problem in the industry was about the chrome pollution. And the main reason for the chrome pollution was the exhaustion of BCS was almost around 60 to 70% only. And for my non-leather technology friends, the exhaustion is nothing but the chrome uptake. So his job was to find why this uptake is so low. Can we improve afterwards? But then that was not the scope of this MTech problem. It was to find out why it is low. So then we had a couple of discussions. Me and Dr. Rao used to sit around. And those days, Chandru also was his senior, so he also used to join us in some of the discussions. And I realized that Raghav, having spent a couple of, maybe a year or so in the industry before joining for his MTech, has to brush up some of his chemistry knowledge. So I was dealing with trying to teach him or tell him a couple of things about the chromium chemistry, and then the methodology of how are you going to approach the problem. And mind you, those days in the lab, we didn't have too much of equipment what we have today. Today, I mean, it's one of the best lab problems in the world. But those days, we had just a spectrophotometer and infrared spectrophotometer. So most of the work was done by using a Brereton pipette, a classical way. So I told Ragurao, let's see, the way we will do it is probably we'll take the effluent and analyze what are the different species present. And how do you do that? I will using an ion exchange column. So here he learned about the ion exchange, principle of ion exchange, and about some chromium chemistry. And it might look very simple that ion exchange, using an ion exchange column, you can separate the species, but it's not that easy. But when you do, actually, you will find that you will not get a very clean separation, or even if it's separated, one band is diffused into another. So he had to do this experiments a large number of times to perfect it. And then afterwards, he separated each of those, at least 7 or 8 species were there. And he found that one of the species was contributing mainly for this. It's almost like 70% one particular species was there. So then I told him that we should go and characterize each and every of those species. So I will not go for all other species. One particular species, which was the major portion of this effluent, one of those techniques I said how you characterize is to find the charge per species and charge per atom. And then he learned the chemistry, how to do all those things. What is charge per species, charge per atom, and went ahead and did those experiments and came with the result that the species, which is the major species in the effluent, is a tetrapositive tetramer. How do you do that? Because if you know the charge per species and charge per atom, you can find the nuclearity. But again, what I said in this 2 minutes, he had to repeat many number of times because I want to make sure what the results he's giving is correct. And the job of Rao was more difficult because after convincing me, both of us will have to go and convince Dr. TR, who was a perfectionist at that time. So he will not take any of those if something is not right. So we have to be again here to do that. So it's a simple experiment, but then for that he had to spend a couple of months because he has to learn how to do the chromatography properly, how to separate all the species together. So that's why finally it was characterized. And then he published that in JSLTC. In fact, those days there was not much pressure on publishing. So in fact, this was published in the early 90s, even though the work was done in the middle of the 80s. And first published in JSLTC, he was very happy. In fact, all of us were very happy because JSLTC was one of the premier journals for leather science. And from SEMTech work, that publication has resulted. And more than that, CLRI was having a publication in JSLTC after a very long time, because the practice at that time was to publish in the home journal, leather science. So after finishing that, his MTech, he finished his Viva MTech commendably. Afterwards, he decided to join for his doctoral program. So obviously, we continued that same topic which TR had originally given for his, because it had a lot of scope. We could not do everything, all the justice to the topic in his MTech alone. So for that, now we know that what is the major species contributing to the effluent, which is a tetramer of chromium. And all of us know that the main tanning species is a dimer of chromium. And then when we analyze the original BCS also, that also contained this tetramer of chromium to something like 30% of that. So that was the one which was not binding and coming out. So that was the reason for this so-called low affinity. But then why is this species has no affinity to the protein? That's the next question we have to answer. More basic questions. That's what for the PhD you need to have more basic questions. In fact, that's what Dr. TR wanted, so that we all learn the basics very right. So we went upon exploring that. First we thought, okay, it may be because of the thermodynamic instability of the chrome complex with the collagen, or maybe it's labile species. But if you say it's a labile species, it's a revolutionary thought, because those days nobody would believe that, as TR would vouch for it, because chromium-3 is notoriously inert for substitution. That's the reason why it is used as a tanning material. So if you say that's going to be labile, it's not going to be easy to get it accepted in the scientific world. So again, that particular thing, it took almost 6 months to almost 1 year to establish. Then we realized that it's not a question of thermodynamic stability, it's actually is substitutionally labile. The substitution reaction of this tetrameric species is in the stock flow time range. And then we just went and talked to Dr. TR about these results. He also was initially a bit reluctant. He asked the same question, have you checked, cross-checked everything? Finally, he also was convinced, as was thrilled about this outcome. Now there was a time for him to face his methodology examination. Methodology examination is the examination one takes to confirm their PhD registration. I would say that was the time for music for Dr. Rao. So he made his presentation, elaborate presentation, and then he had a 2-member committee. One member was an internal member, and another member was an external member. So he had a good grinding there, almost for half an hour the questions. And Rao was almost on his tears, but then he held on. He was tested by for his all the basic knowledge as well as the methodology he has used to do his research project. But what was the surprising fact was, it's not the external examiner who gave him all the trouble. I would say the committee was almost hostile. It looked like that. But the hostility came from the internal member. But ultimately, even Rao will agree that aggression was good from the internal member, because that day he realized what is PhD. PhD is not that simple. Do some experiment and get away. You should know the whole basic of that. So that was a good lesson for him. And I'm very sure any other student, particularly the students who came much later in the chemical lab of Dr. TR's own students also, if they had faced this kind of methodology exams, they would have said goodbye to PhD and gone back. So it was all Raghurav's courage and determination to pursue, stuck onto this. Well, having cleared his methodology exam, that means now he's good to submit his thesis. So in the meanwhile, again, now we have established this tetrameric species, the low affinity species, and the low affinity is because of the lability. So we decided to do some more basic research. So I think this was one of those pioneering bioinorganic research done in chemical lab. So you can see Dr. Rao has also done some work on bioinorganic chemistry. He treated this different species of chromium, this dimer, trimer, tetramer, everything with RTT, and look for the stability of RTT. So what he found that when you treat with tetramer, the RTT is not stable. It is degraded by cyanogen bromide or by enzyme. Whereas if it's treated with the dimer, the real tanning molecule is stable enough. So this reiterates the point what he initially came out during his MTech research, that tetramer is the one which doesn't have a good affinity for this protein. So that's in the effluent. So having done that, so by this time, I mean, they have mastered all chromium chemistry. Dr. Rao as well as Chandru, those days, he also was doing almost some related problem. So both of them wrote a review article based upon the chromium chemistry of the tanning materials. It was published somewhere, maybe much later, but both of them had contributed to that. The point I'm trying to say is that they learned the chromium chemistry. I think today, Rao probably will know much more chromium chemistry than probably what I know. So that's credit to him. And then there's, I don't know whether Rao has learned anything from me in those couple of years, but one lesson which I have learned from him, which every researcher should learn, that how to keep the record notes. Ragurao kept his record notes beautifully well. Every small point was written down in the record book. All of us will write something very important results and the rest will be ignored, whereas not for him. So that anybody, even today, if they get hold of his record book, they can reproduce whatever he said. So every student and PhD students, if they are listening to this, if they are logged into this, please go and see Dr. Rao's notebooks if he has kept them. I'm sure he would have kept somewhere. Every point is written there. Even how much weight he has taken, how many ml he has taken, which will look mundane to us, but it is very important thing what he has said. So that's about Rao as a student, which I wanted to convey. But before I close, just a few more words. And then when he became my colleague, it was a great support to me. He shielded me from many things, unwanted things. And in fact, he allowed me to concentrate on my lab work and all the administrative responsibility of the lab he was shouldering. And today, Rao is not just a student and colleague. Rao and his wonderful wife, Raji, and the two children, Bharat and Shravani, are as much part of my family. So I take this opportunity to wish Rao, I know that I can't wish him a very happy, peaceful retired life, because Rao is not the person who can sit idle. So I wish and hope we find something for him to keep him active, and whatever knowledge he has gained, so it will be still useful. So happy retired life, Rao, and thank you, Madan, for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. For having highlighted the courage, determination, and perseverance of Dr. Ragurao as a student. So now I invite Dr. B. Chandrasekharan, the former director of CLRI, to felicitate Dr. Raghav from a co-researcher to colleague and as a friend. He wants to share his journey with him. So in the meantime, I request all the participants to put it on mute. We don't want to have any noises in between. Thank you. So Chandru sir, we can. Over to you, sir.
Yes. Good evening to all of you, and to Dr. Nair, Dr. Ramaswamy, Dr. Rao, and of course, I mean, people from industry and my colleagues. This is an opportunity. When Dr. Nishad was asking me, sir, we want you to share your, memories and other things, say for about 10-15 minutes. They were asking for me a title. And then I asked, what is the title I should give? Is there any other? No, you can talk whatever you feel like talking about Dr. Rao. And that's all. But then when I received, and yesterday the communication, and it talked about leather industry, Indian leather industry, and way forward. And I thought, so let me talk about the tree, and then later tie the cow on the tree. That means, so I thought, that way. So yes, the Indian leather industry, we are definitely we are looking towards, because we are trying to compare with other manufacturing sector as well, and especially in a lifestyle and accessories divisions, like whether it is textile and leather, all are with that. And leather industry is no exception, especially when we say that we are manufacturing unit, and obviously the environmental and other measures, whatever even Dr. Nair was talking about, both Rao and myself at that time, about 30 years or 35 years back, when we started our activity, little did we realize that those issues would boomerang to an extent now, currently what it is, and the kind of developments that is happening now. And but the seeds where I'm happy that we were part of those early seeds of looking at manufacturing some of these tanning material, especially the chrome tanning material, and also characterizing the wastewater. I think both went in tandem. And in my opinion, the leather industry, and now we all talk about the industry 4.0, and in that sense, when we have the leather industry 4.0 in the new material world, when I say new material world, even the hides and skins to be converted into leather, is changing. It's the needs and other aspects of it, especially when the so-called non-leather materials which are coming. Sometimes they even try to give names like vegan leather and so many other kinds of leathers names as leathers. Truly they are not from the animal origin, but then we are now talking about the leather industry, and especially with 4.0, which talks not only about use of artificial intelligence and several other aspects of it, but at the same time also talk about the sustainability holistically, and also looking at the cost and material optimization. So many things talk about, and I thought we should. I thought I should highlight some of the points. Many often, I must many of these thoughts while we were preparing kind of a project report for sustainable leather sector, especially for a metro world like Chennai metro area, and also for the lecture notes for BTech students. So in these two areas, yeah.
Excuse me, participants, please mute your mic.
Yes, I thought, even, during the course of preparing the lecture notes, so we had some fruitful interactions with Dr. Ramaswamy. So I thought I'll share some of those points here. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you. The first point, what I thought, that's the fuller utilization of all biological resources in skin and hide. And where we need to revisit the current leather processing technologies and the strategies, and how do we recover of economic potentials. I'm sure CLRI and several other people who work on collagen also have come out with some of the strategies. I don't want to go into that, but this is one area where we still need to look at, so that the industry adopts them fully, and subsequently even the recovery of full economic potentials of all the biologic materials. When I say it is not only the process, but also getting the full economic potentials from these materials, and at the same time developing gainfully the industry to streamline various bioproducts from these leather processing, and share the cost of these raw hides and skins in the price of finished leather. Because ultimately, when there is a fluctuation in the price of a finished leather, and many a times, if we could offset with our utilization of these materials, I think in a large way, I mean, this would go in terms of meeting towards the cost and other aspects, not only meeting towards the cost, but also going, I mean, are valorizing the value for hides and skins during the processing. And the second point is optimizing the cost of conversion of hides and skins into finished leather. And here, probably what we are now talking about the material and energy audit for the leather processing and eliminating all the excess, not only the excess chemicals being used, and also limiting our process times and other things. Okay. And value recovery from flesh. And as I said, like it is not just the collagen leather product, but the fleshings, the hair, and other matrix materials. I mean, I'm sure people would appreciate there are, especially in buffalo hides and other things. I mean, there are certain other value-added materials, I mean, which are exclusively available in those hides and skins. And also practice of zero waste approaches. And I'll get back towards the end, I mean, towards this zero waste and what kind of actions that has gone and how, I mean, Dr. Rao and his team had contributed to that. And of course, the breaking the barrier of low cutting value of leather. This is also one of the area where, I mean, Dr. Rao's some of the technologies, especially the chrome melamine tan and other aspects of it, address about reducing those deficiencies from the hides and skins, especially the loose fiber structure and all, and which would in turn enhance the cutting value for these materials. And the third point here is minimizing cost of compliance to zero liquid discharge. And this is one major area where I think there's a tremendous work needs to be done, especially the zero liquid discharge, the current practice of going for multi-stage of operations and those kind of things, which are totally not energy efficient, and also in terms of cost and this. And that poses serious issues of, how do we look for cost compliable options for zero liquid discharge? And that is one, and where the water recovery and several in-process control measures, and even the secured management of these rejects, especially the reverse osmosis systems where we're talking about. And also, and all these things would get into the sustainability of these zero waste practices. And the fourth is ensuring now economic of sustainability of the leather sector as a holistic approach. Here gaining even the wage parity for workers, with the national per capita. These things could happen if only we enhance our productivity and several other aspects of it, and one needs to address, and even the right sizing of the carbon footprint of the leather sector. In fact, Dr. Ramaswamy used to say, if we take into consideration the transportation costs of either the raw material or even at every intermediate stage, or even the finished product going from one continent to another continent, the carbon footprint itself would make or would render our the product in a non-viable one in terms of these environmental sustainable aspects of it. So there needs to be the holistic approach of even looking at the localized production wherever it's possible, or we call it the decentralized. So that means now we need to probably revisit what we call our production and other methodologies, and of course the enrollment of this leather sector into industrial revolution 4.0. Because if you analyze all these points, yes, only then we could enroll ourselves into this. And here some of the points what we are talking about is especially the resources to artificial intelligence. And there's a lot we need to probably learn from the other manufacturing sectors, and how do we make use of some of these things. And in fact, when we were listening, especially with the Trichy RECs, what do you call science technology entrepreneurship program, that institution, and where they had to interact with some of the startup companies who are working in this artificial intelligence. They have come out with certain suggestions like labeling them, especially many of our products, so that it could be traced during any stage of production, because it could go with a tag, so that with an electronic tag, the people sitting in in an office room, I mean, they can find out, where the materials are, I mean, through the movement of some of these things, and the tagging is one way of, the possibility. In fact, we even talked about looking at the sources, especially the origin of this. I mean, that is again posing a major problem. So some of these things could be addressed if only we have we could use some of these artificial intelligence and all those things. Coming back to some of the on the environmental side, where we are talking about the zero waste or a zero discharge, and this is where I thought I could highlight my co-researcher and my colleague, and more than that, a friend, Dr. Ragurao, and probably on his contribution over the years. As Dr. Noyer said, we were almost, in the contemporary in a sense. I was probably a couple of years. By the time I finished my MTech and was joining for my SRF, and came Dr. Rao, of course, for doing his master's in the chemical lab. And he was fortunate, and especially to have Dr. Ramaswamy as his mentor. Of course, with big ordeal, definitely. That has been told on many occasions. But in my case, it was, originally, when I asked, about Dr. D Ramaswamy, so usually, you go to Dr. T Ramaswamy and he will give. And when I approached Dr. T Ramaswamy, and he'll say, no, you let Dr. DR, guide you. You can probably discuss something, and then no, he will be the guide. I won't be the guide. I was in a Tirisangu, but then still I was in a heaven. Being in the chemical lab is a heaven, but only thing is, I was in a Tirisangu Sorgam. It was for a while, and subsequently, Dr. Ramaswamy, of course, gave a lot of inputs for the master's thesis itself at that time, and probably that made him gave me an opportunity to be his student, and it is that environment. I think Dr. Rao was also there at that time, and we all grew. So in fact, after a couple of years of me, after finishing my PhD and all, when I moved out of the lab, after several years when I came, when somebody was looking for a chemical, I just I was there, I happened to be there, and I just went and picked it up. And this is where this chemical is. That, and in fact, Dr. Nair used to tell at that time, see, somebody who had gone from here out of the lab for several years and who could be able to pick up. Why I'm saying that is Dr. Rao and myself, and of course Dr. Subbu and Dr. Govindaraj, and while we were all there, and the lab, and we were the custodians for the lab, and in the sense, all the activities of all these things. And since then, when we have moved ahead, and of course, as a colleagues, subsequently after our PhD and this, of course, I moved to start with the Human Resource Development Department, or the Education and Training Division, a couple of years, and then moved to leather products. But then my association with chemical lab and what they do, and it never diminished, and I was always on track of what was happening and what Dr. Rao and other members were doing at that time. And subsequently, after my tenure as a director, and where I had an opportunity to translate his, some of the technologies of his into this, I was fortunate to have even the chrome melamine syntan when it was transferred. During that time, and at the same time, especially the waterless chrome tanning techniques. In my opinion, I think I was probably participating right from the day, I think it was on a World Environment Day at some time on June 4th or something, where we started in Erode. And then the journey went to almost all parts of the nation, of going to Kanpur, Calcutta, Jalandhar, and even to Ambur and Wanibadi, and of course all the way to Ethiopia as well. And this is how this, and I see, and in fact I've been even suggesting Dr. Rao and other things. You have even Dr. Nair suggested that his workbook contains all the experiments and all the details in this, and I wish, and Dr. Rao and his team have almost all these data of doing these experiments at various stages, various materials, raw materials of various origins at different units. Probably they may have these data, and if only this, they could come out with a complete technology package which ensures the difficulties that would have happened, and that way the package itself, as a technology package, can showcase how the future generation could develop not only the technology but also what you call the know-how package as a document that could go. I'm sure Dr. Rao and team would definitely look into it, because this, in my opinion, after the Alcrotan and Dalutan, the technology packages, and this has a tremendous potential to be developed into a similar one. And the other one, where I was probably witnessing the earlier industrial practices, where experiments, they're carried out, especially for the preservation common airing. And in my opinion, that has the tremendous opportunity to reduce or totally eliminate the use of salt. And this could be even tied up to start with some of the slaughterhouses, where this could even the green heights, because the condition at which these materials, after treating with those chemicals, it's like taking a green hide or skin, and with your totally your hair being completely removed along with your epidermic layer. In my opinion, that gives value addition to even the materials like hair and other things which are collected now intact. At the same time, the material is also totally blemished, let's speak. And my wish is that this takes up truly some of the large scale commercial trials for various types of materials takes place seriously. And once this is, because again, for us, the last mile connectivity is a challenge, and the industry, the Indian leather industry, for it to go ahead, and the industry need to adopt some of these newly developed practices. I think India is at the right stage of exploiting some of these new developments that is happening, and utilize them for the market advantage. In that, I see here, the tremendous contribution of Dr. Rao as a colleague. Beyond that, as a friend, yes, as it all said, as a friend, yes, we exchange. As Dr. Noy was telling, it is the entire family. Whether it is Dr. Raji or son Bharat and Dr. Shravani, and I even, of course, he missed out. His brother and mother and other people. Of course, they are not alive today. But then, while they were there, they used to treat us also as their own. Member, and that way, it extends. And I only wanted to probably highlight here, there was some kind of a bereavement in my family while I was this. It was in the midnight. I had to go somewhere. In the southern Chennai part, somewhere in the XT part, on a bereavement. There needs to be some doctor's certificate or whatever it is. Though I was a director for a lab, I could have very well, probably called, my medical officer for the help of giving a death certificate, whatever it is, for something to happen. But on that time, and let me tell you, to my mind, what came was, the Kraus family and that Raji could do this, something of that kind, in a sense. So to that extent, and whether it is distress or whether you are happy, and our associations would always be there for me to cherish. I keep cherishing my period as a co-researcher and as a colleague. Where he gave tremendous support to me, and even as a friend. And it is above all a friend or my younger brother. And that way, and I once again thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity, and also wish Rao, definitely Rao, this is only a kind of a small break or an innings break, that's what I should say. And I think, he would definitely come back for and probably contribute much more. Because that's what I was telling the other day also. And now that he has kind of a free state of mind to contribute. In my opinion, I think his productivity and and even the creativity with which he could work would tremendously improve, in my opinion, and I wish him all the best. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for highlighting the aspects that could lead to the sustainable development of Indian leather, and highlighting the contributions of Dr. Rao in the area of sustainable development and leather manufacture, and sharing your comradeship with Dr. Rao. So now that 20 students have been blessed to have got the mentoring and training from Dr. Ragurao for their doctoral thesis work. So first of them all is Dr. Tanishq Valan, who is now a senior scientist at CLRI, senior principal scientist at CLRI. So always first is special, both for the mentor and the mentee. So Tanishq Valan joined for PhD with Dr. Raghav in the year 1999. So now he will be sharing his professional journey with Rao sir as mentor in solving the problems of leather industry. Over to you, Dr. Tanishq.
Thank you, Dr. Madan. I would like to share a small presentation. I hope it is visible.
Yeah, it is visible.
Yeah, thank you. Respected senior mentors, Dr. T. Ramaswamy, Dr. Sadullah, Dr. Nair, Dr. Chandru, Dr. Subramanyam, Dr. Sriram, and colleagues from CLRI, friends from Institute and Industry, and Dr. Bhalichandra from Dean AC Tech. Good afternoon to everyone. It gives me a great pleasure to participate in this virtual seminar. I am, of course, as Dr. Madan said, I'm honored to be one of the speakers in this occasion, specifically because I was chosen on the basis of I was the first student. So, but on the other hand, each and every one of the 20 plus students of Dr. Rao would love to speak on this forum. So therefore, I would like to dedicate this presentation to all the students of Dr. Rao. So I chose the topic on solving the problems of leather industry, my professional journey with Dr. Rao as mentor. And so if you look at Dr. Rao, of course, I describe him as a saga of researcher, and meaning, he has done a lot to leather industry in terms of solving the pollution-related problems, and his contributions are enormous. So I would like to just share some of the aspects in which we work together as a research student and also as a colleague, and over a period of say 20 to 25 years. So as a first doctoral student, I joined with Dr. Rao in the year 1999 after my MTech. As Dr. Chandru also describing about some incidents, I would like to share a very small anecdote, how it all happened. It's kind of a divine plan, I would say. So during my MTech, Dr. T. Ramaswamy, of course, the Grand Master, he was the supervisor for my work, where I did some work on narrow pH based leather processing during my master's work. Then later I discussed with Dr. Tia, as everyone would aspire to work with him. Then he suggested three broad topics, namely ambient preservation of skins and hides, and then recycling of the processed liquors internally, so that to achieve complete zero discharge of effluents. And then the third topic would be the approach towards zero discharge tanning methods by process and product innovations. And when I try to deal with all the three topics, somehow this title seems to be more interesting to me. So therefore, I chose the approach towards zero discharge tanning methods. And then I asked Dr. Tia to guide me, but for some reason he said, oh, hereafter I'm not going to guide anyone, so just go and meet Dr. Rao. So that is how it all happened. And of course, Dr. Rao has kindly accepted to guide me. And of course, we do discuss with Dr. Tia on how to go ahead. And he obviously, to anyone and everyone, he also gave a lot of ideas, and we took over and then developed the thesis further. So basic concepts behind this doctoral work is we try to look at the process logic of leather processing based on the first principles, and found that it is comprising a lot of do-undo steps. So what we try to do is undoing the do-undo process logic. That was the approach we tried to make. And in the thesis, we tried to look at the development of the line-free enzyme-assisted deharring, biocatalytic fiber opening, and pickle gasification-free chrome tanning, and finally integrating all the best practices into a kind of integrated 3-step process. And these are the major outcome of the thesis work. And as a colleague, further from 2002, further we tried to develop several cleaner processes, namely say reverse leather processing, which is part of another student, Dr. Pavan, his doctoral work, and where I was given opportunity to participate. And then later development of certain eco-benign synthetic tanning agents like TanAid and EcoChrome, primarily based on the formaldehyde-free tanning agents. And then later further the development of waterless chrome tanning technology and the preservation term and herring technology, which I think Dr. Chandrasekharan has already highlighted. And so the need for this whole work is based on the the well-known facts of conventional leather processing, where the pollution is a key issue, and we try to look at that do-undo process logic, and then we try to go for that do-only process logic steps. And what is this do-undo logic all about? So if we try to look at, we try to add salt during curing, and then we try to remove it during soaking. And in liming, we try to add lime, and in deliming, we remove it. And in pickling, we add acid, and again, we remove the acid during the basification in chrome tanning. So a whole bunch of this do-undo logic really leads to a kind of a process inefficiency. So therefore, is it possible to provide a do ecology technological options? This is what the question we try to address during our doctoral work. And in addition, we also try to look at the pH alternations during the leather processing, where you can see that it goes up to 12, and then all the way it comes down to 2.8, and again, it is increasing. So we try to ask this unnecessary pH alternations leads to the formation of the neutral salts, which accounts for closer to 30 to 35%. So we asked another question, whether can we do the leather processing in a narrow pH profile, that is 7 plus or minus say 1.5 or 2. So these are the questions we asked, and the innovation targeted here is the undoing the do-undo process logic and reversing the process sequence by changing the fundamentals and seeking the breakthrough from the first principles of leather making. So what we try to do, we try to use commercial enzymes for deharring at a pH of about 8, along with the reduced sodium sulfide and without using any lime. And the process is able to remove the hair completely. And the cost increase by enzymatic deharring, it can be offset by the increased area, because the leather is sold by area basis. And this also gives opportunity to integrate with any fiber opening techniques, which can be done at a pH of say 8. So in that sense, we try to develop a fiber opening process with using the commercial enzyme known as alpha amylase. And then that gives the opportunity to integrate that and do all the deharring and fiber opening at a pH of about 8. And we also successfully demonstrated these processes in certain tanneries in Tamil Nadu. And then later we tried to develop the pickle gasification-free chrome tanning. And we trying to look at the fundamentals behind this development, I mean, the so-called pickleless chrome tanning. And we try to use a pH profile of say about 5 using different types of acids like sulfuric, acetic, and oxalic acids without using any sodium chloride. And then we checked the efficiency of the tanning. And we also looked at the mechanism behind it by doing the speciation studies. And we successfully developed this technology. And in fact, this is the technology which paved the way for the current waterless chrome tanning technology, and which was developed in the year 2016. And later, during the final stage of our doctoral work, we tried to integrate the best practices. I mean, the developments happened in the hair removal and fiber opening, and further integrated with the pickle besification-free chrome tanning. So this integration of these best practices also did not hamper the properties of leathers, and the total pH profile, starting from say soaking to end of the tanning, it was around 7 ± 2. So we were able to justify our the objective, and the environmental benefits were around 70 to 90% reduction in the major pollution parameters like COD, total solids, chromium, etc. So we were almost nearing the zero discharge leather processing concept. So these were the work done during my doctoral work. And later with Dr. Pavan, we also looked at the reverse leather processing, where we tried to look at the concept of beginning where conventional process ends. In the sense, in the conventional process, you have a sequencing of pre-tanning, tanning, and post-tanning. We try to do the post-tanning just after the pre-tanning at a pH profile of 8, and then finally closing with the tanning, that is chrome tanning at a pH of say 5. So this concept also proven, and it was also patented and published. And in terms of product development, somewhere around 2000 to 2004, we were working on the development of a formaldehyde-free tanning agent based on the some certain polymeric matrix based on the naphthalene sulfonic acid, and using polycarboxylic acid without employing any formaldehyde. And that product is commercialized as the name of Tanage. And this particular product helps in pickleless tanning even at a pH of 8. That is the key innovation of this particular product. And another product, namely the Eco Chrome, was also developed using the basic chromium sulfate itself and complexing it with the polymeric matrix to yield a high exhaust chrome set. So both these products have been transferred to the Baumol and Lorry company, and these are the commercial trials when we taken during the KKSK leathers in early 2000 to 2004. And of course, recently in 2016, we also developed the waterless chrome tanning technology during as an outcome of this 12th 5-year plan project, that is research initiative for waterless tanning, and wherein the complete removal of processed water is possible in the pickle besification-free chrome tanning, what we have developed earlier. So, and this process actually completely avoids the chromium pollution, and there is no need for chrome recovery because there is no chrome containing wastewater. And of course, many of you have already heard about this technology, and it was first started in June 5th, 2016, the World Environment Day in Europe. Later, this technology has been transferred to about 85 tanneries so far. And this is the current technology we are working on, that is the preservation cum unhairing. It's an organic formulation where we try to use this for preservation at ambient conditions. At the same time, after application of this compound, within say 15 days, the hair also comes up slowly, and therefore it gives a dual benefit of both preservation as well as unhairing. And the major advantage, you don't have to use the salt, and the sulfide also can be reduced significantly for the hair removal process. And there is enormous saving of water possible in the soaking as well. So these are the industry feedback during our doctoral work, the success of enzymatic pre-tanning and the 3-step tanning based leathers, and later in waterless chrome tanning. These are some of the photographs, and these are the industry feedback on all of these commercial endeavors. And Dr. Rao, along with him, we published as co-author about 56 papers together. And these are some of the best publications with him. And totally about 18 patents together. We have 5 patents and about 5 technologies we have transferred together. And about 12 awards we have jointly received. Apart from the individual award of that Young Scientist and Young Engineer Award, of course, this is predominantly from the doctoral work. And of course, the PhD thesis award also is a highlight of the award from IMAE. So the learning, of course, we are able to look at the diffusional problems associated with the narrow pH tanning. by new product and process innovations. And we also went ahead with from the do undo to do only process logic. And of course, apart from this professional learning from Dr. Rao, I must mention that there are certain core personal values and virtues we learned from Dr. Rao. This is very important for our, of course, our way of life. And I have highlighted about a dozen of such values and virtues, say perfection, honesty, responsibility, team building, punctuality, generosity, service, humility. So I just limit with these dozen points, but there are many more we'll learn from Dr. Rao. And I must thank Dr. Rao for that. And again, not only these lessons are learned from myself, all other students, including starting from Dr. Sriram to Mr. Rao, all the 20 plus students really benefited from Dr. Rao's values and virtues. Thank you so much for the given opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Tanishq, for sharing the professional journey and accomplishment in making the leather manufacture cleaner. So Dr. Rao has the most number of publications in leather domain. Like Journal of American Leather Chemists Association is one of the highly rated journals in leather research. In fact, Dr. Ragurao has published more than 100 papers in JALCA, which is a great accomplishment. And his accomplishment did not stop just with publications. So many of his works, as Dr. Tanishq had already pointed out, has put to commercial use. So Dr. Raghav has strong association with KKSK leather processors, including the many technologies he has transferred there. Some of them are direct chrome recycling technique, and recently the waterless chrome tanning technology had been transferred to KKSK leather processors. So in fact, we originally had Mr. Mohammed Haider to felicitate Dr. Rao on this occasion. Because of unforeseen reasons, Mr. Raghav, Mohammed Haider, will be felicitating Dr. Rao on behalf of his father.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Actually, like Dr. Madan said, my father was supposed to do this, but actually, because of some unforeseen circumstances, I have to cover for him. And I think before me, Dr. Tanishq Valan gave a very technical answer about the waterless chrome tanning technology. Now, what I'm going to try and do is how we have commercialized it, how I have personally used it to market our products, and how it had made life easier for me as a tanner, in terms of recycling the water in the effluent treatment plant. So it all started, I think, in the year 2016, when my father told me that there'll be a group of CSIR-CLRI scientists coming to a tannery and they'll be taking a trial on waterless chrome tanning. I was very new back then. I didn't know the technicalities of it. So I was just observing whatever was going on, trying to ask questions. And my introduction to Dr. Rao, it was on the very first day. And it was very obvious to me that he was one of the seniors. So there was a definite age gap that was there between me and Dr. Rao. So I was a little bit hesitant in talking to him and asking the questions, but he was so friendly, and there's a definite age gap, there's a generation gap involved. And I asked stupid questions and he politely gave me the answers, and he didn't need to be very honest. And I still remember that on the day one. And the trial was a very good success. And ever since then, we have been doing the same technology. We are still doing the waterless chrome tanning technology. So like Dr. Tanishq Valan said, apart from no water, there is also no salt involved. There is no pickling. So we have changed our consent order in the way that we have, in fact, demolished our solar evaporation fund that was for the pickling wastewaters. We have actually gotten rid of the chrome recovery plant. The time has come down. The tanning time has come down. It is much easier. So not just that, whenever I I have started traveling, meeting brands and customers and all those people. Now they ask me, we put a leather on the table, and there's one particular customer in Dongguan, which is I just want to share. It was then I understood the magnitude, the significance of this waterless chrome tanning technology. It was in Dongguan in the couple of years back. I threw leather on the table, and we were talking. The leather was good. We were talking price and everything. And then this gentleman, he asked me, what is that one thing? Because this leather can be made by 100 different tanners. Why should I buy it from you? And I was just thinking about it. See, the leather was good. And then he kept asking, no, what is that one thing that differentiates you from all the other tanners in the world? I just, I was jokingly told him that, all I needed was a bucket of fresh water to make the shoe. So he started laughing and he started asking me questions on how is that possible? How are you doing it? And then I started explaining to him that, okay, we do something called a waterless chrome tanning technology, which is developed by the CLRI. And I kept telling him that we save about 2.5 liters of fresh water for every kilo of rawhide tanned. And we also use an electro-oxidation method, which is also CLRI to recycle our liming wastewater. So I told him we just use about 3 liters of fresh water to convert 1 kg of rawhide into finished water. And that was very attractive. And it was only then I understood the magnitude of, this waterless chrome tanning technology. And I have used this on almost all my customers ever since, I knew the magnitude of this process. And that's all. I think I'm very young. I think there are much more qualified people than me in talking about Dr. Rao and his, and his accomplishments, his achievements. I cannot talk like, Dr. Tanishq Valan or like Dr. Chandrasekharan about the technicalities of the colleague. But I just want to say that happy retirement life to Dr. Rao. And thank you for being, very welcoming on when we first met in 2016. You just treated me like, someone who's 45-year-old who's been in industry and for the last 20 something years or something. But I was really only few months old, few years old in the tannery. And you have taught me a lot in those, few days that I've spent with you. So thank you so much. And I hope you have a happy retirement life. And I think we will still be calling you, from now on and asking doubts. So happy retirement, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ahaf, for taking up the shoes of your father and for this wonderful tributes, about Dr. Rao. So we have the next speaker, Shri P. Gopalakrishnan, who is a managing director at Chellam Chemicals. And he is also one of the alumni of Department of Leather Technology, AC Tech, housed at CSIR-CLRI. He is going to share his journey with Dr. Rao. And he calls Dr. Rao as the most eminent and innovative scientist in leather research world. So over to you, sir.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are able to hear you.
Yeah. Good evening to all. Respected my Guru, Dr. Bhalichandra, Dr. TR, Director of CLRI, Dr. Sriram, former Director B. Chandrasekharan, Dr. Nair, all respected all the eminent speakers of the virtual seminar on Indian leather industry way forward. First, I want to convey my sincere thanks to CSIR-CLRI Director, Dr. J Sriram and team organizer for given an opportunity for me to facilitate Dr. Rao and share my journey with most eminent and innovative scientist, Dr. J Ragurao in leather research world. It was a pleasant one and evergreen memorable occasion closely associated with Dr. J Raghav for entered into an agreement with the CSIR-CLRI for the transfer of technology know-how to manufacture formaldehyde-free, eco-friendly, high-exhaust chrome melamine sinton. Amazing convincing capacity of Dr. J Raghav to market its new novel minerals intent to Salem. Dr. Rao had actually mesmerized us by explaining the functional properties and advantage in comparison with the existing market chrome syntans. In 11th January 2016, CLRI had organized a business meeting based on our feedback information of satisfactory note on the preliminary trials conducted by sample provided by Dr. Rao. We had displayed different types of leather produced, processed with chrome elements in 10, provided by the sample provided Dr. Rao. Dr. N.K. Chandrababu, cluster chairman, evaluated all the leathers. After understanding our intention to move forward, Dr. Rao had very nicely fixed the consideration for the know-how transfer of, also cleverly bargained the fixed the deal at its expected price. I wondered, in my experience of more than 33 decades, never seen any business personalities like Dr. Rao. It is for the benefit of the institution is highly appreciable. In 4th March 1916, the MOV was signed in the presence of former director CLRI, Dr. B. Chandrasekhar. Within 10 days, 14th March and 17th March and subsequently 21st March, Dr. Rao organized 2 lab demonstrations followed by 1 scale up to pilot plant level, the output of 18 kilos. In this process, in this transfer of technology, Dr. Rao very keenly followed each and every aspects and well-organized guidance book for hassle-free bulk production. In 11th May 2016, National Technology Day, Dr. Chandrasekhar, then Director of CLRI, had handed over the compiled book on technology package for chrome elements intent. Salem had launched the new novel intent in the commercial name Celtan CM. The first product of its kind in the history of leather processing technology of the world. The unique advantage of Celtan, the product Celtan CM, apart from free formaldehyde, eco-friendly with no chromium presence, selective filling and grain tightening effect on loose area of belly region. It imparts a fine and very uniform grain all over the leather. Increase in thickness without affecting area yield. Good dye leveling, excellent buffability with a natural seam. Produces uniform milling pattern. Overall upgradation and better cutting value. It is not only that, the Tata Devas has conducted trials. The requirement of the European buyers, the kit shoes should be made out of chrome tanned leather, when should not contain any free chrome in the leather. That is, when the kid is sewing the shoe, the freely available, physically deposited chrome should not be diluted in the salve of the baby. That is a major requirement for the kit shoe manufacturers. The product is one of the successful product for this purpose. It's a great achievement for the CLRI technology. So the leading export houses are continuously using the product Celtan CM as an acknowledgement of this advantage. See, Tata Devas, Tata Bachi shoes, and Ambur NM Zakaria, Blue Diamond Leather, all major consumers of these products. I am happy to share with you about the Sujata Venkatraman Sujata Venkateswara Rao Excellency Award for Technologist 2020. That was jointly received by CSIR-CLRI and Sellam at Lerig. This award received from former ISRO Chairman Dr. K. Kasturi Rangan is the happy moment for Sellam. We consider this award as a recognition of Sellam's contribution towards the successful commercialization of the invention. Dr. Rao is born in a small town, Nellore in Andhra Pradesh. Achieving to this most eminent and innovative scientist level is basically he had adhered to the principles in life: discipline, commitment, sincerity, hard work with the humanity. Today, in his credits, published more than 240 scientific papers in the national and international journals. Patent 17 innovative technology, more than 5 are already commercialized. 12 patent applied for approval. Dr. Rao has guided more than 48 BTech and 20 MTech and 5 MSc students. 9 successful research scholars awarded with PhD. 7 research work is in progress. Dr. Rao is the celebrity of the world other research field. He had stepped into leather technology in 1980. After completed PhD, joined the service in CLRI in 1993. During his professional career, Dr. Rao not only elevated himself to this level, he has also properly guided his students to achieve success in his career. His passion to learn and do research with commitment is the secret of his success. As his mentor, Dr. TR, Dr. Rao has strongly conveyed and practiced that the knowledge is for sharing with others and not for keep it with oneself. The retirement is just formalities in the government. It is not applicable for high-profile scientists like you, Dr. Rao. I expect you to continue research activities to develop many more innovation in biodegradable leathers towards achieving eco-friendly, greener world for our future generation. Sellam team is wishing you a very joyful and a peaceful, prosperous future along with your family. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for felicitating Dr. Ragurao and sharing your professional experience in the absorption and commercialization of chrome element Centan of CLRI, which is one of the very effective Centan that is available in the market in the name Celtan CM. So now I call upon Dr. Meenakshi Sundaram, Dean AC Tech, to offer his felicitation remarks.
Okay. Respected scientists and eminent audience, good evening to all. First, I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to felicitate Dr. Raghava Rao. Though I know Dr. Rao as a scientist in CLRI for years, my close association with him was in the last 3 years after I took over as the Dean of AC Tech campus. All of you know that for past 75 years, Alagappa College of Technology and CLRI is jointly running the academic program, BTech leather technology and MTech and other things. We are not sure whether we have any document on collaboration or anything. Of course, we don't need when we have a mutual trust, and 75 years it was running without any issues or anything. But whenever we go to any accreditation or ranking systems, we say that Department of Leather Technology is in a central CSIR Institute, CLRI, and we say the scientists or our faculty, then they have started asking, no, how can it be? But now many people are claiming we should collaborate with CSIR and things, and CSIR scientists has to take classes and things. But for past 75 years, we are together doing this program. Documents and things, Dr. Sign an MOU between CSIR and Anna University. And actually after 6 months, we discussed these issues with the university authorities, and we signed the syndicate approval, and we have successfully signed an MOU. Also, after 2015, the introduction of choice-based credit system in the academic system, this has completely changed the way we teach and things. All education system, people started accrediting and rankings all given based on outcome-based education, where we have to account all the attainment of objectives of the courses and programs which we have doing it. And also today, all the industries and things started questioning whether you have been accredited, the program is accredited, and all those things. So Dr. Rao, under his leadership as head of the department, he successfully carried out all the course attainments, objectives, and things, what has to be done in everything. And it was almost a 300-page document was prepared and submitted to National Board of Accreditation. And soon this team will be visiting, and we hope to accredit the programs and things. Another aspect is that as being academic institutions, and we have to publish the results of the examinations and things in time. Especially it is very difficult for actively research involved departments like CLRI and my own departments, biotechnology, and everywhere. We have difficulty in publishing the results in time. But when Rao was there as HOD and things, we never faced such challenges, and all these things were happening in time without any default or other things. Also, Rao is a humble person. Whenever we call urgently, some university will be asking to have data or have to have the meetings of HOD and things. He readily accepted. He used to come to AC Tech before the pandemic. After that, it's all virtual. And he attended most of the meetings and gave his valuable suggestions and things, which was helpful for us in making the decisions. And of course, already the other speakers told the research credibility and the large number of publications what Rao was having. And actually, I came to know about this during the recent deliberations of these AC Tech Distinguished Alumni Awards and things. And really, I feel very happy that Dr. Ragurao was given the Distinguished Alumni Award. I really congratulate him for that, which will be happening something in December and things. During my tenure as Dean, I really enjoyed working with Dr. Rao, in all these academic activities, and I wish him a happy and healthy retired life. Of course, Dr. Rao is having very rich experience of research and things. I wish him to collaborate with the Department of Leather Technology as well as JAC Tech further with the things. Retirement is just only for the sake of government and things, but really Rao and all are very active in research. I think Department of Leather Technology will benefit from his experiences and things. Once again, I thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Bhalichandra, for your warm felicitation address and highlighting the milestones during the period when Dr. Rao served as head Department of Leather Technology. I'm sure this partnership of academia and research will grow stronger. So now I call upon Dr. T. Ramaswamy, the mentor of Dr. Ragurao, mentor for me and many of us here in the forum, to offer his felicitation remarks.
Very good evening to all of you. Of course, today's program is in commemoration of the wonderful journey and the service that Dr. Raghav has rendered to, of course, leather research, and through leather research to the Indian leather industry in its forward journey. So I have specifically not addressed you people by name, because I think all of you as a part of my own self, and we are talking to the family. Therefore, my brothers, sisters, and sons and daughters is what I am going to now address you as. And I'm a brahmachari with a large number of children and grandchildren. Therefore, my story is good. And this felicitation remark that I propose to share with you, in a way, is connecting the interaction that have already happened. It was very interesting that I had Bala start with his presentation. Truly, he was a teacher. Okay, and as was pointed out to you earlier, the only job that I was doing to Raghav, not mentor, be a tormentor, giving lots of challenges, and essentially, when you purify gold, you have to heat. That's why it operates. So the purification of the personality is one such process, and Bala is a very soft guy. Okay, and we played in police game. There's a bad cop and good cop, and there's a good teacher and a bad teacher. The good teacher was Bala, and the bad teacher was Raghava, as far as Ragurao is concerned. When we had this peer relationship with Chandru, and talking as a friend and a colleague, and of course they had done all things together, good and bad together, surely, and some not known to me, some were known to me, and that's the way true education takes place. Education is not just writing papers. Education is not about publishing this and doing chromium chemistry. Education is a real life experience, and that I think has been a great experience from this process. And Bala really traced the kind of the journey that Rao went through, and it is true that having accepted the responsibility for Ragurao to be a guide, and I knew I give ideas, but actions and training need to take place, and that really came from Bala. And in the co-learning process happened with Bhalichandra, and Chandru talked about how Indian leather industry way forward would need the kinds of inputs that the research contributions emanated from the group of Raghav, which is fantastic. Tanishq, next generation, as a student, and large number of good research that Ragurao guided and led has come from Tanishq. And I have to go back one day, ask these fellows, all the students of Ragurao, when Ragurao is not there, whether he was any better than me in the way I treated him, whether he also be treated like this or not. But they won't tell me in his presence. The reason I tell you this, because I was a student of Jeff Sykes. And Jeff Sykes was a very tough teacher. Actually, all these guys, relative to Jeff Sykes, they would have found me a very nice man. Jeff Sykes is such a difficult guy. So 13 of us met in China, his students. One day I asked, when we were students, they're always talking about Jeff Sykes doing this, Jeff Sykes doing that. Are we any different? They said, no, we are the same base. Therefore, I'm sure Raghav also has given that rigor of training, and the rigor of training comes with the kind of toughness that came with it. And Bala himself has experienced it, I'm sure. And I was very happy to see the outcome of the research of Rav's group reaching the industry. Of course, when you talk about these chemicals that he developed with Gopalakrishnan, commercializing it, and the kind of relationship that comes with it. Therefore, it's not about research alone, publishing papers and looking at the awards and the recognition. It's also how the technology actually goes to the people. And I'm very mightily pleased about the kinds of reports that Gopalakrishnan gave. LM Chemical has a umbilical cord relationship with CLRI. So for you will certainly enjoy that relationship even today, because it's a mother institute with whom he has done. And I'm very happy that Rao's group has been able to provide that safety net for the kind of chemical technology that can. I'm very pleased to see Mr. Rahif Muhammad Haider. When I knew his father, Haider, he must have been a very young man. I'm an old man, in all of you remember. So I was very happy to see Mr. Muhammad Haider talking about waterless chrome tanning and how he is able to enjoy the benefits of the research, and how the professional commitment was brought about by the team in the way it was done. And a satisfied customer, okay, is a great statement by itself. Any researcher, any particular activity, no matter how much awards, how many credits you may have, but somebody who has used the technology, who has used the benefits of this, and when they come back with a certified customer, I think that's the merit of this. I think he symbolized the kind of research outcomes that came from the group of Ragurao and his colleagues. And I thank, of course, Mr. Mohammed Haider, you may convey to your father about the old man Ramaswamy talking, because I know him for a long time, and I have visited your factory long ago. And I'm very grateful to you for the nice comments you made about the group and the kind of waterless chrome tanning that's coming up in this process. Of course, Bhalichandra is part of us. It's an extended arm. It's a left hand, right hand, when combined the same process. In AC Tech and Nana University and CSIR-CLRI have been the blood relationship in the education process. Therefore, it's very natural. And I'm very happy that Dr. Bhalichandra actually represented Nana University and showcased today the academy, research, industry relationship, the trinity that we talk about today. This is a good symbol of what we see today. I mean, we must compliment Dr. Naidamma on this case. It's going to be a centenary year this year. On 10 September, he is reaching this 100th year, and we'll be observing this 2021, 22 as a centenary year of Naidamma. I think what we today benefit to is a truly an effort that my forefathers took several years ago. We actually talked about 75 years ago. And that's the kind of journey that we have come. And therefore, when you talk about the way forward for Indian leather industry, it's not about turning back the pages and what has happened some 20 years, 30 years ago. It's about what we'll be doing 20 to 30 years from today. And if the industry were to practice something 20 years from today, the research will have to happen now. Research that happens in 5 years from today, probably will be not useful within 5 years from today. So there's a time phase between the research done in the laboratory and the time it eventually commercialized and used. So when we say way forward in industry is a present of the CSIR, present of CLRI. What are the outcomes of CLRI, the outputs of CLRI today will become the way forward for the industry in the course of time. So there has to be a 15, 20-year lead time in this process. And most of what Dr. Rao's group did is in that time phase ahead of 10, 15 years of time. I'm sure 10, 15 years from today, we won't be talking about waterless ground planning as a new activity. We'll say that's a general practice. That's a norm of what we do here. And that's what the way forward theme of this seminar is to showcase, to say that these are the technologies which are of importance to the future. So how does it leave with respect to Dr. Rao? You see, there are three kinds of people. Those who are engaged in administration. Those who are involved in administration focus on the past and correct the present in the past. Errors of the past in the present. They are unconcerned about the future. So Dr. Raghav is not an administrator, because he is not in that league. Then there are managers. The managers correct the past, focus the present, but connect to future. And that element of managerial skill of Dr. Rao is very evident and visible. All the awards and recognitions that he has obtained is all a symbol or the indications of what has happened. The future, the leaders learn from the past, connect the present, but focus on the future. Actions of today, focus on the future. So most of the actions of Dr. Rao in his group in the last 5 years, what has happened, what is current planning, the technology that they have for combination of preservation and hardware removal using this ionic liquids and so on. There are completely different processes in sustainability science. They will come into space in future. Therefore, I would say that whatever Dr. Rao has been able to do in the last 5 years will have an implication of what will happen in the future in the leather industry 10, 15 years from today. And that is the hallmark of a leader. And I think Dr. Rao can feel very proud of himself that what he has emerged as a leader. Of course, it is true, there is no accomplishment in life without challenges. There's no achievement in life without the kinds of hard work and sincerity that is involved. And the kinds of training, the kinds of rigor with which all that initial process was done was with the hope that Dr. Rao one day will become a leader in the sector. And I'm very happy that he has truly become a leader in the world level, not just India level. But if you take the total number of publications in leather research in the world, in any peer-reviewed database, there are not many domains of research where Indian is a leader. Leather is the only area where an Indian is a leader, that is Ragurao. Ragurao is number one, and associated by him is Dr. Bhalichandra. So these two guys have been great partnership in this process. Number 6 is Tanishq, and I hope that Tanishq will become number 1 not many years later. But this has to happen, and that is a statement by itself. That in this year, the AC College has given this Distinguished Alumnus Award for him, and several awards have come in this financial year. It's essentially a culmination of the effort that he put in, hard work he put in, and I believe the journey ahead for Raghav is even more challenging, because if I really put this class of sustainability quotient on leather sector, we have not started the work. I'm not talking about CLRI. I believe the whole industry, whole leather sector in the world has not started the work. Because you look at this sector, the rawhide, where did it generate? America, Western world. So the cow hides come from US, Western world, and shipped to China. There are East Asia. There they're converted into leather. Then from there it goes to production somewhere, leather footwear. or products in Asia. Then where do they get used? Back in the US, back in Europe. Just the transport or mobility, moving such amount of material back and forth itself is not climate sensitive, climate change sensitive. The carbon dioxide emission just on the transport of raw hides and skins from one continent to another and back is not a sustainable activity. Therefore, there has to be a time where the mobility of the hides and skins has to be minimized, processing must take place, and that requires a completely different technology paradigm. And that is a sustainability issue. Therefore, what I believe, the way forward for leather industry is sustainability. The way forward is a grammar of leather making has to be different. And that implies a completely new paradigm. And what Dr. Rao and his group has done, paradigmic changes. And let me say, on this occasion, it's a very remarkable contribution which has paved the way forward for his students to take the journey far beyond what Ramaswamy did. Well, I went beyond Naidama. Rao has gone beyond Ramaswamy. And the students must go beyond him. And then Rao succeeds. Rao succeeds when he exceeds his teacher and his students exceed him. Let me wish all of you the very best. Of course, Rao is like my son. Therefore, if I have scolded him in very early years in those days, it was out of concern. It is not out of anger. It is not process. And Rao is my best son, if I'm going to say. And let me finish this statement. Many years ago, people used to say, TR was a teacher of, many years ago, people used to say, Raghav was a student of Ramaswamy. And he used to tell himself, oh, I'm TR student. But today, TR is saying, I am Rao's teacher. And what he's saying, there are times when we are children, we are known by our parents. Okay? When we become successful, our parents are known by us. And today, I'm known by Raghava. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Today, Bala sir initially had taken the role of Gavaskar as an opening batsman, and you had taken the role of Dhoni in finishing the formal felicitation of Dr. Ragurao on a high. Sure, we will continue to keep up the flagship of you as well as Dr. Ragurao, and we'll continue the legacy. So now we will make this forum open. For I request participants and the members who are there in the forum who wants to offer their felicitations to Dr. Raghav. You can post your requests in the chat box, and then I will call upon one by one. Or you can just raise your hands in the forum. So whoever wants to offer the felicitation can unmute themselves.
Dr. Madan, Dr. Swamy has raised his hand.
Oh, yes. Yes, sir. Swamy, sir.
Dr. Madan, are you able to hear me?
Yeah. I'm able to hear you.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank all of the people who are involved in the arranging this seminar. I'm not going to talk about anything related to leather, as you are aware. My specialization is different. But I would like to share some of the traits of Dr. Rao, especially during Dr. Chandrasekhar's directorship. I had the opportunity of working with him in close quarters. The amazing qualities of Dr. Rao is that the way he maintains the file, whether it is official matters or technical matters, the speed with which he responds. I have seen many occasions, unconnected who is sitting in the directorship, the speed with which he provides the information. In fact, Dr. Meenakshi Sundaram from the AC College few minutes back mentioned about this point. So meticulous way of keeping the information in a proper manner is one thing I really adore. Second thing is, any official letter, any official matter, the response time is very fast. Unfortunately, he expects from his colleagues and students also same speed, and many times we are not in a position to provide, and we have to face the heat of it. So as a chairman of the Chemical Sciences Division, as a head of the department of both Leather Technology Division as well as the Chemical Lab, many times he lost his temper, but at the end of the day, it is for the good cause. Another point what I observed is that nowadays mentoring students, especially in specialized areas like leather science and technology, is very difficult. Among all the colleagues, if I see after Dr. Ramaswamy and Dr. Bhalichandra, many people fail to attract the students, especially for PhD. He has, in that respect, he has won the so-called what we call as a race. So proved that whomsoever associated with him immensely benefited, not only for knowledge transfer, but also making a leadership. And many of them have been recruited in the scientific positions, both within the organization and outside also. Having said, let me explain some of the problems which I face with Rao. Because when you are explaining about a person, it cannot be completely all positive or all negatives. A personality is endowed with both positives and negatives. One problem which I have been facing with him is that whether it is in the committee or wherever we discuss about the general affairs related to management or decision making, he has the always habit of rubbing his nations. So many times I had a head-on collision with him. We differed on many aspects, whether it is in purchase committee or ACSR matters or something related to our committees and all those things. But at the end of the day, he has the knack of arguing in such a way that all the other team members will accept him. As a divisional head, sometimes I felt that the demanding aspect of Dr. Rao, especially from youngsters, people who joined with different specializations, sometimes it has backfired. People who have different specializations, especially in fundamental sciences, so sometimes they felt that he is unduly demanding. But actually his view is that when he is able to do sharing the responsibility of running the organization as a division lead or some other thing, plus publishing papers and producing PhD students, why not a young scientist who moved from other organizations are not able to do? His view is that, but unfortunately it backfired, and some of the youngsters were not happy the way he was arguing with them. Nevertheless, his intention, his interest is always about the organization and its growth. In a way, he is a multifaceted personality. From the previous speakers, each one has mentioned about each quality of Dr. Rao. And he is also a successful man, not only in the academic activity, family-wise also. The kind of help both Dr. Rajeshwari and Dr. Rao has extended to many families is remarkable quality, especially when materialism is dominating the life of individuals. This kind of charity mind is very rarely seen. So both of them, knowingly or unknowingly, helped many people. One of the beneficiaries, I myself. So in that sense, Dr. Rao is a totality. So he has that leadership qualities, a good teacher, produced many PhD students, published a lot of papers, brought technologies and also awards and honors. So I wish him that in future he's going to continue whichever way he wants to do. And the bonding between Rao and me is Dr. Rajeshwari, and God is kind enough to give 2 children. Both of them are doing very well in their respective careers. I hope that this positive trend will continue in the future. I would like to close by thanking the organizers for giving me the opportunity, even though I'm not able to say anything about way forward for leather technology.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful words. So is anybody else who would like to offer felicitations?
Yes, I am Uthukrishnan.
Yes, sir.
Good evening to all. It's my pleasant function to offer a few words about in praise of Mr. Rao. I have seen Mr. Rao as a student long back, and I have been observing in various forums how he conduct himself despite adversities, and what positive vibrations and what positive feedback people offer about him to me makes very pleasant thing. He is a nice gentleman. In my domain, a scientist never retires. A scientist is a way of life, like a painter or poet. A scientist is not a designation, but unfortunately in government sector, somebody has to retire one day. So that day has come to Mr. Rao. But I hope his association with the science and leather industry will continue. And I wish him a productive and happy life hereafter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, anybody who is willing to felicitate Dr. Ragurao can just unmute their mic and then go ahead. Okay. So Subbu sir is there. Subbu sir, you want to say a few words?
All the best, Rao. That's all from my side. Thanks for that.
Thank you, sir.
Knowing
Thank you,
you
sir.
should not have called me. Thank you.
Right.
Dr. Madan, I think Dr. Ravindranath came online. Probably he would like to.
Yes, sir. Ravi sir, you are there online?
Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead.
No, I just wanted to wish him happy retired life. That's all.
Thank you, sir.
And Raghav, I also want you to meet you in a certain location frequently. Thank you.
Jayanand sir, you want to say a few words?
Thank you, Madan.
Yes, sir.
In fact, I have already felicitated him the other day, but I just want to make 2 points here. Besides all his achievements, Dr. Ragurao was given the Lifetime Achievement Award by ILTA recently. Congratulations to him. Second thing, he's such a good planner, meticulous. He will not leave any point unobserved, ungone. I have seen this in very close corners when he was working with us for the ILTA's conference in Chennai. And the success of the conference is mainly due to Raghava's participation. Though he could not be present on the conference itself due to some reasons, he was absolutely flawless in that program. He really did the good job. I wish him all the success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So, Saula sir, you want to say a few words?
Hello,
Yes.
Dr. Bal, you want me
Yes,
to
sir.
talk?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Already people have talked nicely about him. So he deserves whatever has been talked about him, his achievements, they're all very great. Maybe with my link, I will talk a little bit. My link with Dr. Rao starts with him as Rao as a student of the first batch of BTech 4-year course of 1980-84, and myself as a teaching staff in Education and Training Division. These 4 years were unique for me in the sense that I was handling practical classes for the 1979-84
BTech batch 5-year integrated course, and 1980-84 4-year course, which Ragurao did. And I handled practical classes for both the senior batch in the morning and the junior batch in the afternoon. So Dr. Rao came out with flying colors both in UG and PG programs. After his doctoral studies by joining CLRI, he became my colleague too. After our revered teachers, Dr. J Sriram, Dr. Raghavan, retired, the honors or the mantle of teaching mineral tannage chemistry for BTech students fell on Dr. Rao, which he took to his heart and devoted his energy and enthusiasm in enlightening the students with the latest concepts and trends in technology. So his genuine interest in teaching and in interest in students' welfare made me entrust the chairmanship of a few class committees to him, even at a fairly young age. He did full justice to the chairmanship and tried to fix the loopholes in the education delivery process and systems. So maybe I would let you a secret. So when I was nearing my superannuation day in 2007, I tried to influence him to take over the mantle of head of leather technology department from me. But for more than one reasons at that time, he didn't choose to migrate to education and training division. But I was happy when he later took over the leadership of the Department of Leather Technology, and happy to hear encomiums from the present dean regarding his work and his achievements in the education and training sector. Dr. Rao's contribution to research is quite significant. His achievements have already been amply brought about by our earlier speakers. His innovative and disruptive technologies, like what Dr. Tanishq Valan highlighted in his speech, like do and do process, methodology, reverse processing, waterless tanning, preservation cum unhairing, use of ionic liquids for processing, etc., are quite noteworthy. He has groomed many PhD scholars and also shouldered various responsibilities with me in running AC Tech Leather and Footwear Alumni Association. So I join with others in wishing Dr. Rao a happy, fruitful, and productive retired life. Thank you, organizers, for giving the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very much for your wonderful words of felicitation, sir. So I'm also happy to see Chandramouli sir in this forum. So Chandramouli sir, you would like to say a few words?
Hello.
Yes, sir, we are able to hear you.
Yeah, I'm very happy to associate myself with the felicitations of Dr. Ragurao. I've seen him as a young boy and growing in the chemical lab and doing the fantastic work with the dedication and commitment. Really, really wonderful. That's wonderful. In fact, more than from CLRI, I heard about his research output through my co-brother, who is associated with the JELCA. Number of publications of Dr. Raghav, very popular in USA, very well known in USA. And that's really a great credit for Dr. Raghav. And the third point is, I've associated directly with him in bringing out a publication of Leather 2035. That's a futuristic exercise. I've seen him providing the best of his ability, best of the inputs, for the bringing out the report. That's a wonderful experience of working with him. So I wish him all the best in all his endeavors, and I hope his services would continue to be available for the cause of leather sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So if nobody else is coming forward to offer the remarks, or the felicitation address, so I will move on to Rao sir. For your response, sir.
Yes, Pavan. Thank you. Good evening to one and all. I think it's a great day being in the midst of eminent academicians, industry giants. I am really delighted to be associated with this virtual seminar on Indian leather industry way forward, organized by Dr. Sriram, Director CSIR-CLRI, my dear friend Dr. Subbu, and my younger colleagues of CLRI, Dr. Madan, Dr. Nishad, Dr. Tanishq, and Dr. Arvindan, in honor of me. It is really a wonderful occasion to share and exchange the memories of the past by our professional colleagues and industrial associations. It is really a proud moment for me to receive this honor again after witnessing a series of functions organized in view of my superannuation, starting from international webinar on 28th August, followed by Alpha ILTA Southern Region Meet on 30th August, memorable farewell by the staff of CLRI with the red carpet welcome on 31st August, and now again by my beloved members of CLRI and other fraternity. This gives an opportunity for the close associates of CSIR-CLRI, both in the academic and industrial front, to share all the moments that happened during the association of mine with them. The goodwill from the people can be earned by discharging the duties with sincerity, honesty, trustfulness, loyalty, ownership, accountability, and human touch. The goodwill that I earned is countless, and I am indebted to all of them for their strong support during my journey to discharge my duties and responsibilities with utmost care. All these events are really memorable to me personally, and this displayed the quantum of commitment and connectivity that one has left in the system. System is always above an individual, and people come and go during the process, but what is left behind remains forever. And I earned the hearts of many people, both in the institute and in the leather world. I, from the bottom of my heart, thank all of them for their tremendous support given to me during the course of my journey. Let me first thank my beloved director, Dr. Sriram, for his trust and faith he had on me in discharging the given duties and responsibilities. His association with me is long and strong, that remains forever. He always displayed great respect towards me, which I cannot forget at any point of time. Two people inseparable to me during my stay at CLRI and outside are Dr. Subbu and Dr. Sriram. My association with both of them is so memorable that it remains forever. The turning point of my career began with the acceptance of me as his research student by a person of high human values. He is none other than my mentor and beloved guru, Dr. D Ramaswamy. I owe him a lot, and he is the one who shaped me to this level in leather science and technology in the global forum. I think I have no words to say that he has really made me to be in this position and have so much of laurels, which you have been witnessing for the last 4 days. I think he is the one who has made me, shaped me, and created me to get all the benefits. I think I have no words to say. I think if I had done something wrong to you, sir, please pardon me. I am always for you, and I will give my life to you, sir. I did my BTech, MTech, PhD in leather technology during the period 1980 to 1991 and joined CSIR-CLRI on 25th June 1993 as a senior scientist in the laboratory of high repute and popularly known as chemical lab at that time. It's a wonderful lab which provides right ambience and ample opportunities to everyone to perform better. The members of the lab perform the role as a single family. That is what is the chemical lab that leaves people to gain credibility and visibility. It is really a memorable journey in CLRI, and it is a 3-decade journey for me. It is indeed a challenging and happy journey. My 3-decade journey started with chromium in water medium, passing through various ground breakthroughs of various groundbreaking innovations such as dew ecology solutions, bioprocessing, eco-benign chemicals, value-added products, and finally ended with chromium without water. That is waterless chrome tanning technology. During this journey, several products and processes were developed towards sustainability and translated successfully to the industry. Several people played different roles during the course of my journey. This journey is not complete without showing my gratitude by thanking them from the bottom of my heart. The members of the chemical lab are always supportive to me to stand taller at different times and difficult times. Dr. Nair showed me the footsteps to my growth, and Dr. Kantimati, Dr. Mandal, Dr. Aruna, and others helped me in times of need. Dr. Nair's personal and professional support made me to perform well in new areas of leather science and technology. His support to me is countless and endless. He is always attached to me personally that during the time of my stay at home after the surgery, he made it a point to visit and spend 1 hour every day for a month. That is how Dr. Nair cares and protects Rao. That is the bonding we really generate in chemical lab. Dr. Chandru was my senior and close associate of mine, both personally and professionally. Our family relationships are so strong that it operates and remains as a single joint family still. It also reminds me of the days where he stayed in the hospital overnight along with my wife when I had a fracture. I was very fortunate to have been associated with fantastic research students. To name some, Dr. Sriram, Dr. Tanishq Valan, Dr. Madan, Dr. Nisha, Dr. Swarna, Dr. Arvindan, Dr. Pavan, Dr. J Kumar, Dr. Satish, Dr. Satya, Ms. Sharmila, and Mr. Rao, who contributed enormously to achieve all the laurels in my career. Dr. Tanishq is very special, as people have already talked about, to me of being my first PhD student. Dr. Sriram was the student, first MTech project student, but Tanishq happened to be first research PhD student. He's really made a mark with paradigm shift in leather processing through bioprocessing methods. He always admires me and developed several qualities of mine. He is a simple, humble, and reserved personality with good moral values. Dr. Madan and Dr. Arvindan are the best and pet students of mine, where I keep on shouting at them, but they always give me cheerfulness. Whenever I need anything, they are the ones who stand behind me. As a student during our industry visits, we first visited KKSK Tannery in Europe during my BTech days. Such a wonderful and green-going tannery. I always gained the fullest support of Mr. Haider and his brother, Mr. Rafi, for the implementation of new technology, innovative technologies developed at CLRI. We started implementing first the DCLR technology under CSIR project, later bioprocessing, and finally waterless chrome tanning technology. Mr. Haider played a pivotal role in transforming the WCTT technology in India as we kick-started this at Erode, which is the hub of wet blue leather manufacturing. My heartfelt thanks goes to him and his son, who has really made it so beautifully, the experience of him with WCTT technology. Several technologies developed by our group were field tested and implemented. The support of the industry partner is very important for the success of any technology we develop in the lab. Our group gained enormous support in this endeavor right from KKSK, Kalyanam & Co, and several other industrial houses spread over in all the leather clusters of India, and also overseas in Sri Lanka, Vietnam, and Ethiopia. Thanks to the stakeholders of the industry to make CLRI technology successful. One recent process technology that is very special to me is waterless chrome tanning technology. The support of EKHM Tannery is countless, as its inputs helped in standardizing the technology for commercial exploitation. My sincere thanks to the 5-member team WCT of CSIR-CLRI, who worked tirelessly for bringing global visibility to the technology, which includes Dr. Saravanan, Dr. Tanishq Valan, Dr. Madan, Dr. Arvindan, and myself. Another product technology that is always special to me in my career is chrome melamine syntan. Mr. Gopalakrishnan sir has very well articulated how the business deal was made. He played a major role in licensing this technology and bringing the visibility of CSIR-CLRI to a greater height in the recent past. He is truly the alumni of DLT-CLRI in being an ambassador in promoting the name of CLRI through this technology. My heartfelt thanks to you, sir. I was given the responsibility to lead the Department of Leather Technology, and during the last 5 years, the department has seen phenomenal transformation in creating a state-of-art facilities. My association with Professor Meenakshi Sundaram is really something special. He is always a staunch supporter of our department and always admires us and speaks high about DLT at various forums of the Anna University. I look forward for his continued support to make our department a model department in the university. Thanks to you, sir. And Dr. Sadullah, sir, I think your dream that I should lead that one, I made it for the last 5 years, and you can see the department, the shape of the department now, how it functions and how it is now. Thank you so much, sir, for having trust that day to really take the mantle. Always, I mean, for a successful man, women always plays an important role for any individual. Dr. Aruna and Dr. Nishad played major role in giving enormous support and motivation at times of need. My heartfelt thanks to both of them. I would have not been successful without the support of my own family members, right from my parents, my sister, my brother, who are no more. My father, my brother really look forward to see that I do PhD because none of us are really educated. My father or mother, both were not educated. They really want me to have the highest degree. And my sister gave the basic education, and my brother sacrificed to see that I get educated, and he went to the agriculture and suffered a lot. So their, I mean, support has made me to come to this level. My own family is also important because they are the ones who has really taken the pain of me that I could not spend more time to the family. My family members, Dr. Rajeshwari, my wife and children, Mr. Vijay, Mr. Bharat and Ms. Shravani, who have extended tremendous support to do anything for the organizational development at the cost of the family. We are happy with proper education to our children, and this is all because of CSIR-CLRI. I thank my organization in providing me with good ambience and proper facilities to have a peaceful, healthy life for the family and also have wonderful education for my children. One is an engineer, one is a doctor. What else I expect from my CLRI? Free education, even that has been reimbursed by the government of India. So I cannot forget, and I look forward to see that something can be done from my side to my school, because it has given me wonderful education to my children, and my organization had given me so much. Today I am in this position speaking, last 3-4 days having several functions. It is the organization which shaped me, and during that journey, several people have played a pivotal role to see that I become to this level. And I come to this level to see that CLRI flag stands always high above everyone. I thank from the bottom of my heart all the members who spoke with kind words. Dr. Sriram, Dr. Nair, Dr. Chandru, Dr. Tanishq, Mr. Haidar, Mr. Gopalakrishnan, Professor Meenakshi Sundaram, Dr. TR, my guru, Dr. Swamy, Dr. Muthukrishnan, Dr. Ravi, Mr. N.R. Jagannathan sir, who really, admires me and do anything. The kind of argument I have sometimes, for my age, he really takes it so nicely and articulates it. Rao, come on, be cool. We are there to take care. He is such a wonderful person who has really taken care of me and treated me so well with a very good, affectionate manner. Dr. Sadullah, Mr. Chandramouli sir, I want to mention Chandramouli sir. He has given wonderful support during my PhD days and also following my, during my, initial stages as a scientist, because I used to have a lot of students, but sometimes fellowship used to be a problem. And Mr. Chandramouli, he was taking care of the IDLS project and modernization project, where he supported many of my PhD students with some grants for both, in terms of stipend as well as in terms of travel grants. So my thanks to you, sir, for really giving me a wonderful support during my journey in CLRI. In addition, I thank all the members of my family, that is CSIR-CLRI. This is an extended family for me, without which I wouldn't have not been here today. And the leather fraternity for attending this function to bless me with lots of love and affection. It is really a memorable moment. Thank you all once again to make me proud to receive this honor again and again. Thank you all. And once again, I thank you, Dr. Madan. Thank you so much for whatever you have done for me. And special thanks goes to Dr. Nishad, who has taken care of me in the lab with such a care that I cannot forget. Whatever I say, she really gives a smile, which is now you can see on the screen. That's what is a chemical lab and the people of chemical lab. I really enjoyed a lot in this lab, right from Dr. TR, Dr. Nair, Dr. Chandru, Kantimati, Mr. Sundaram, who was the pilot plant, and all the members. I really owe so much to them. Without them, I wouldn't have not been in this position. Thank you so much. And Dr. Sriram has given me wonderful entrustment during the last 2 years. I think whatever I could do, I think it is only a little that I have done for the faith and trust he had on me. Thanks, Sriram, you have done whatever you have done to me. I really cannot forget on that. And Dr. Subbu, he always traveled with my journey. Good or bad, he always takes it. And we always have lots of fight as Dr. Swami mentioned, but he is an inseparable person for me. Thank you very much for this such a wonderful gathering and for kind words from all the members of the family. Thank you so much.
So thank you very much for your emotional and warm response. So before I call upon Nishad, I would like to read a message which I just received from one Mr. Trivedi. So Mr. Trivedi Shankar actually worked with us during the benchmarking project at Ethiopia. So he says, I could remain in Dr. Ragurao's guidance during benchmarking program in Ethiopia and found him as a best team leader, a generous gentleman, and top of that, a friendly and always helping nature. I wish him the best on his superannuation. So I also had received a message from Chandrababu sir, who could not join. So he wanted to express his greetings and best wishes to Rao sir. So now I call upon Dr. Nishad to offer the vote of thanks.
It is indeed my great pleasure to offer this vote of thanks. But before that, I would snatch 2 minutes to say a few words about Rao sir. Well, my association with him dates back to the 6th semester of my BTech, where he took the class on theory of chrome and inorganic tannages, which Dr. Sadala sir also was mentioning. At that time, he was a terror. We used to be like, the 4 girls in my class sit in the front row. And when he gets down from the stage, we know that he's going to start asking questions. Why do you think the chrome tanning is stopped at pH 4? What will happen if it goes above 4? What is the role of dimer? And why doesn't chromium 6 act as a tanning agent? All these were the questions he used to ask. I still remember them, sir. And we used to be like really, sitting tensed. He's getting down now. I don't know. Usually sitting in the front row, you're always scared, right? You'll be the first person to be asked. So from that to when I joined chemical lab, I saw a completely friendly, totally emotional person. In fact, we used to have great time, even as students. I would never forget the treats we had, especially in his own home. When Raji ma'am used to cook wonderful fish curry, typical Andhra hot spicy curry. I really miss those things. So the journey with him has been, as I said, started with imagining him as a very, scary person to completely an emotional person. You could see today, how emotional he got when he was talking about people who are very close to him. And many have said everything. In fact, Taninge listed a dozen virtues about him. I just like to say one thing, which I want to imitate or imbibe actually, is his follow-up. When I say follow-up, I'll just say one example, in a small anecdote. He's usually, those days, used to sit next to me, and I prepare the reports or the annual reports or whichever document, for chemical lab. So he'll come and tell me, Mama, this report has to go in 2 days. Ma, we have 2 days time. And then he will leave that note on my table. He will go out, probably in 10 minutes time, come back. Ma, don't forget, Ma, that report has to go in 2 days. Now, we have time for 2 days. But I know that he expects that the work to be done immediately. So, even before the 10 minutes time, I used to start working on it. Sir, I'm working on that report, it will be ready. So that is the kind of follow-up we used to have, which I think is very important for everybody to imbibe. So that quality of yours, sir, I would like to definitely imbibe. And one aspect, I don't know, in fact, Swami sir did mention that, is his generosity. In fact, I don't know how many of, many people may not know, but he has lot of plans. He has already done a lot, and lot of plans, to do post his retirement. He says, I want to do social service as like my job, the same intensity with which he has been working as a scientist. He wants to take up even social service to that extent. So I think, I never met somebody who was so large-hearted, does so much of charity, be it in education form or, in fact, for school, he's planning to build a classroom, which is going to run in several lakhs. I have not mentioned the details, but these are small aspects of him, which I thought I should share. In fact, on 31st Superannuation Day, when there was an official program in CLRI, I actually couldn't get up and go and talk. When the program got over, one of them came and said, you usually are, a very talkative person, and whenever there's a mic, you'll go and stand in front of it. How come, you didn't speak? I said, like, if I speak at that point, probably I'll break down. So I will, refrain myself from there. But today I thought, if I miss this opportunity, then I'll not be able to express myself, what I feel about you, sir. Thank you for your mentorship. Thank you so much. You have always been there for me whenever I had any issues, any note to be written, it was always through you. In fact, on the 31st also, when we were drinking tea after your retirement program, there was some issue, and they said, we don't know how to solve this problem. So I wish, Rao sir was there, he knows how to solve this problem. So you have been that kind of a person for me and to many others. So thank you so much for whatever you have done. And now the formal vote of thanks. I would first thank the speakers of this webinar, Dr. Bhalichandra Nair, Dr. B. Chandrasekharan, Dr. P. Tanishq Valan, Shri Muhammad Haidar and his son Arif Haidar, Shri P. Gopalakrishnan, Dr. S. Meenakshi Chandram, and Dr. D Ramaswamy, who readily accepted our invitation and added value to this program. Thank you all. And I thank all those who have participated in this program and offered their felicitations. And I thank Dr. Subramanyam, Dr. Tanishq Valan, Dr. Madan and Arvindan for organizing this seminar. And I wholeheartedly thank our director, Dr. J Sriram, for his immense support he has rendered in the successful conductance of this program and also the previous programs which we had. So thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you all.